Okay, I'm going to deal with Zoom bombing. I have a couple of volunteer Zoom bombers who are going to do incredibly rude and disruptive things, and let's see what we can do to deal with it. Well, here I am having a lovely meeting, but I've got some unusual guest names in my Zoom chat, and it looks like they may be disruptive.
Hey, hey.
Make America great again. Trump 2020. You're annoying.
So if someone comes up and is saying or doing something crude, you can turn off their video.
Don't turn off my video.
I'm going to turn off your video. That's not appropriate. Unfortunately, what might happen is their video will get disconnected, but then their picture will come up, and their picture may be a crudely drawn penis. In this case, you want to kick them out of your room. You want to be prepared that this may happen because a lot of people who are going to Zoom bomb are going to have graphic images instead of their real face. If you are turning off someone's video, make sure that you are ready to remove them straight away. Ding. If I hear inappropriate language such as racial slurs,
Limey,
or inappropriate terminology,
Penis.
anal leakage.
then what I might do is mute all directly, and then what you want to do is definitely unclick this so that participants cannot unmute themselves. Now my Zoom bombers can yell all they like, and I cannot hear them.
Hey, limes. Limes. There's limes. Also flying spaghetti monster.
So if someone is sharing something that you don't want to be seen, then you would go straight up to hear clearly offensive language and stop participants sharing. Then you can go over to advanced sharing options and say only host. That's going to stop anyone else from being able to share their screen. I recommend that when you start any meeting, you make sure that it is only host and already in your meeting settings so that people can't suddenly share such offensive language in your meeting. So here, someone is trying to get into their Zoom room and it says anal leakage, which is not likely someone who I want in here, but it might be someone who has forgotten to change their name. You can actually speak to them in the waiting room. They can change their name or they can't. If they choose not to, you can let them in and you can monitor as they come in what's happening. When they get into the room, if they're still going to be disruptive, you can ask them, hey, I'm not sure if you knew, but your name is a little strange. Then if they continue to be disruptive, you can go along here and you can remove them from the meeting. Do you want to remove anal leakage? Yes, I do. So if they wanted to come back into the room and this was continually a problem, if I have the waiting room on, I can see that someone wants to come in again and I can just ignore them or remove them from there. So one thing that you might find, especially if you have youth in your class, is that suddenly you might get reconnecting or loading or error as their names. Some people may be fooled into thinking that this is an internet connection problem. It is not. It is an attempt at humor. This is something that people have control over. So if they want to change their name and put reconnecting or loading or error, whatever they want to do, they can do that and then turn off their screens. So if this comes up and you cannot see, particularly if you have youth in your room, it doesn't mean that they are not connected. It means that they want you to think that they are not connected. Okay. Okay, if you want to block somebody, the option used to be up here with the participant list. It is now, after the update, down in the security tab. So you would go to security, and then you want to make sure that you press remove participant, and then you can choose to remove whichever one is the offending person. You can also, in this space, report. So when you press report, you can tell Zoom what's been happening, and you can include screenshots of the time. You can say inappropriate screen sharing, video, abusive conduct, uninvited guest. This is instead of blocking somebody, and they will go into the account and review that account and get back to you. If you have a closed meeting, what you might want to do is go down into security and press lock meeting. That means no one else can get in. But be aware, if someone gets kicked out of the group because of technological issues, they won't be able to get back in until you unlock that meeting. I highly recommend the waiting room. As you saw earlier, if someone tries to get in with a strange username, or if they are kicked out, the only way they can get back in again is through that waiting room, and you can just remove them or ignore them when they're in the waiting room. They cannot interact with any of your other guests in the waiting room, and so that's the easiest way to make sure that Zoom bombers cannot re-enter, and often it puts people off if they're trying to get into a meeting knowing that they might not be let in.